You are now tuned into the Panther Nation podcast.
Delone fires to an open Smith. Steve Smith is going to go all the way. No flags down. Smith scores, and the Carolina Panthers win in overtime.
Seal able to run. He's intercepted by Kuechly. Kuechly inside the 20 to the 10 and to the end zone for another Panthers.
Welcome to the Panther Nation podcast. And here are your hosts, Rashad Beard and David Rose.
All right, what's good, everybody? Welcome to the Panther Nation podcast, where we have myself, Rashad, and my co-host, David. We are in the building, and we have been joined by a very, very special guest, current Carolina Panthers wide receiver / special teams ace, Brandon Zylstra. Man, what's going on? Welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys.
So, yeah, we just wanted to check in with you to see how your offseason was going. Have you been anywhere? Have you had a chance to enjoy the offseason? I know it's a pandemic going on. COVID is running rampant, but have you had a chance to kind of decompress, go on a vacation or something?
Yeah, it's funny. When COVID kind of got pretty serious in March, and when March came around, I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know how it was going to affect our football season, so I really quarantined myself. I went back to my parents' place and stayed with my parents until I think June or July, to the point where I wasn't doing anything. And everybody gets a little stir crazy, but I was just like, you know what, just deal with it for this year. And after the season, when everything's done, we know a little bit more about it and stuff, but that's when I can go have fun. So I kept myself pretty quarantined from March until January. But since the season's been over and I have a little bit of free time again, I've been able to get out a little bit. So I've been out to New York now. I went back to Minnesota to see family. I was out in Colorado, New Mexico, LA, nice. San Diego. So yes, I've made my rounds now.
That's what's up, man. That's a good look. All right, so let's you have a very, very interesting story, and I've done my research. I've done the most research I could possibly do, and you have the most interesting story I've heard in a while. So you come from D3, went to CFL, and then you ended up in the NFL. But I want you to elaborate on the story of how you almost made it to the NFL, but then the opportunity was almost taken away by the CFL. Can you elaborate a little bit on that story? Kind of dive into that a little bit.
Yeah, so I've told this story a few times. I have a short, medium, and long version.
Yeah.
Because there's just a lot of stuff that was going on, but I mean, ultimately, it comes down to I was a Division III player playing in a triple option. So anybody that knows anything about football, being a receiver in a triple option is about as low as you can go. You only see the ball a few times a game, but anyway, in college, I did my thing as much as I guess I could. Had some success, but after college, I didn't have any scouts that knew who I was. I wasn't on anybody's radar. I wasn't talking to any agents or anything, but I knew from a super young age that I always wanted to play football. And I'm one of those people that just doesn't really put limits on myself. I'm just if you want something bad enough, you can figure out a way to go get it. And I've always just really, I don't know, I've always been kind of stubborn about that, stubborn about my goals and what I want to do. And I'm just you can't stop me type of thing. Love to bet on myself. But so after my senior year, I met up with one of my quarterbacks from my junior year who after he graduated, he went over to the German Football League and did his thing over there, but then came back after my senior year and said, I want to make a run for the NFL. Are you still interested? I was like, yeah. And I was like, I have no idea what I'm about to do. I've contacted a few different training facilities and stuff, but I was like, I'll be honest, I can't afford it. I don't have anybody else helping me pay for this. So he's just like, well, I just met a QB coach out in Arizona. He said, why don't you just come out there with me? He said, if anything, we can work together, whatever. And so I was like, all right, cool. So I threw everything I had, literally everything I had in my car, and just drove down to Arizona. And when we were there, it was just it was really just a lot of learning through failure, learning through just trial and error type thing. Because we had no idea what we were doing. We didn't know. I was really working out with no workouts in sight, essentially. Just trusting myself that I was going to figure it out along the way. And so what it kind of came down to is while we were down there, we went on to like all 9 CFL teams, like their websites. They tell you where and when they host tryouts. And so we're just like, okay, there's 4 CFL teams that are going to be around Phoenix, Arizona. Let's just get into all those. So we signed up for those. You have to pay when you get in there too, but went to all those, had a lot of success at those. And again, I really don't know anything about the CFL game. I think I learned about the waggle when I was at the tryout. And the waggle is like that forward running start motion you kind of get. But had a lot of success at those. Really enjoyed a bunch of those workouts. Ended up getting hooked up with a thing called the NFL Regional Combine, which I don't believe they do anymore. But I think you had to pay like $250 for that, and then they just record everything and then send it out to all 32 teams, or at least what they say. And then the year I was coming out was also, excuse me, the year that Carson Wentz was coming out from North Dakota State. And North Dakota State actually happened to be just right across the river from my school, so it's just a 5-minute drive or whatever. So with the help of my coaches, I was actually able to get into that. And so I went back kind of early and started training with Carson. I tried to be able to throw with him during his pro day, but he already had his own receivers and everything. So at that pro day, I just did all my testing and stuff, and then I just ended up throwing by myself. I think one of the NDSU coaches or O coordinator or something like that is the one that ended up throwing to me. So it was a little bit different pro day experience, but kind of long story short, didn't have too much NFL interest. Ended up went back to the CFL teams because, like I said, out of those 4 tryouts I had 3 contract offers, and so me trying to be my own agent, like just being silly. I didn't have any other option though, but I was just like, you know what? I got 3 teams that want me. Let's try to use some leverage. Let's see if we can get some more money or something like that. And so I kind of brought it up to teams. It was actually the last team that called me was Edmonton. And so since I was on the phone with them, I was like, what's up, guys? Just to let you know, I already have 2 other contracts from 2 other teams. Basically, what can we kind of do about this? And it was super funny. The head scout I'm talking to, he's like, who else is talking to you? And I was like, Winnipeg and Saskatchewan both offered me contracts. And I was like, Calgary was still kind of on the fence about it. And he's just like, all right, we'll call you back in 5 minutes. Hangs up the phone, calls me back in 5 minutes. He goes, all right, we just put you what's called the neg list. And for anybody who doesn't know what the neg list is every CFL team, they get a slot of 22 players where they can put on this list. And if you're on this list, they have your right. So if you want to play up in the CFL, you have to play for them. So like you'll see a bunch of like Lamar Jackson. You'll see like Vince Young was on that for the longest time. Manziel was on it, and that's how he ended up getting on there. So like it's just a way to basically protect and maybe even hide a player that they like. But Edmonton saw all this interest with me, so they said, we're going to throw him on this list. So when they call me back, there's like, Brandon, you're on the neg list. If any other teams talk to you, let us know. They're in trouble. And I was just like, dang, it's really like that? And he's just like, yeah. So, I mean, it essentially came down to like, you're going to go up to Canada, play for Edmonton, and then work your way back into the NFL, or you're kind of done. And so I was just like, you know what? I was like, I don't know anything about the CFL game. I don't know anything about Canada. I don't know anything about getting a work visa, anything like that. But I was just like, I'm just going to take this opportunity and, basically go show what I can do, prove that I can play at a professional level, continue to bet on myself. And obviously it wasn't the way I saw my future going, but I would not take back a second of the CFL. It was the most fun football I've ever played. I have nothing but great things to say about it. Met a bunch of good friends that I still keep up with today. I still keep up with the CFL. I watch all the transactions regularly. Reach out to a bunch of those guys. It was such a fun experience, and I've tried to push it on to a lot of other players too, just because of the experience I have from it.
So did you have an opportunity with the Vikings before you joined the CFL though?
Yeah, so that's part of the longer story. I don't know if you had heard about that yet.
I heard it.
So that's where it gets like super, I don't know if you want to call it shady, super whatever. But how that story goes is after my NDSU workout, So let me backtrack a second. So when Edmonton called me, they said we put you on the neg list or whatever, and I was just like, all right, sounds good. Everything works out. The Vikings were at the North Dakota State Pro Day, so they saw me there. And my further talks with Edmonton, I told them, NFL is my ultimate goal. Like, I want to play in the NFL. CFL is great, backup plan essentially. And they completely agree with me. They're just like, oh no, by all means, we have a bunch of guys that are kind of in the same position as you. They want to play in the NFL. But he's just like, we'll give you, I'm pretty sure they said, we'll give you 72 hours after the draft. If nobody picks you up within those 72 hours, we'll put your contract through and you'll sign with us. And I was just like, oh, like, that's so cool. I can't believe you guys would do that for me. That's awesome. And I was like, now I have a backup plan. And so they, again, let me remind you guys, I'm working without an agent, so that's why all these mistakes are made. But I learned a ton from it, a ton from it. But so I ended up signing this contract for them, and we just didn't date it. I just signed it, and I sent it back to them, and they just put it in holding, essentially. Draft comes up. I don't expect to get drafted. I thought, if anything, I'm going to be a tryout guy. Draft goes through, nothing happens. The next morning, I get a call from the Vikings, and they're like, have you signed with anybody yet? And I said, no. And it's like, all right, cool. We'd love to take you in for a tryout, essentially. And if you make it through those days, we'll put you on the 90-man roster. And I'm ecstatic. I start calling my coaches, start calling my friends, my family. Just a super exciting thing because all I ever wanted was just an opportunity. And if they told me, you're not good enough to play in the NFL, I could go to sleep happy. Like, I did absolutely everything I could. The fact that I even got in front of scouts and stuff, kind of coming from where I came from, and kind of doing it all on my own, figuring it all on the fly. I was just like, I did all I can do. And so I tell the Vikings, I was just like, I'm all about it. Like, put me on the roster. Like, I'm ready. And so everything was all good. I was on top of the world. Replying people all day. Text messages, phone calls, whatever. Everybody's excited for me. And it was a day before I left to go to the Minnesota workout. The Vikings call again. They're just like, hey, Brandon, we didn't know you're under contract. And I said, I'm not. I said, I'm a free agent. And they're just like, nah, like you're under contract with the CFL team, the Edmonton Eskimos. And I said, no, there's a misunderstanding. We had a deal in place, but nothing was supposed to go through because of the opportunity I got with you guys. And they're just like, nah, well, you got to figure it out with them because you're under contract. So we're going to go ahead and cancel this and take the next guy. And I said, no, you guys can't do that. And so that's when things kind of went south super fast. And then so I spent the next 2 days. I called the GM of Edmonton and left him a couple of voicemails. I talked to that scout. I called the CFL front office and tried to get them to void the contract. I called some lawyers. I ended up getting in touch with some agents. I'm just like, yo, what can I do about this? I was just like, they're messing me up for my opportunity. And basically everybody said what it came down to is they're just like, what's done is done. There's no way you're under contract with them now. They put the contract through, so we can't take it back. They're just like, it's either you don't play football anymore or you go play for Edmonton. And so when Edmonton finally got a hold of me, I was talking to one of the scouts, and like I still have a good relationship with the scout. Like, I still hit him up, whatever. He was a cool dude, but they definitely did me dirty. But I was talking to him, and I was like, you guys really messed me over. Like, I was just like, we had this deal. Like, nah, man. Like, he just said we must have just had a misunderstanding. We said that if you don't get drafted or something along those lines, like, I was like, I knew I wasn't getting drafted. Like, you guys knew I wasn't getting drafted. Come on. But, yeah, it was an unfortunate story, but like I said, when it came down to it, I was just like, am I really done playing football? If I'm done playing football, what am I about to do with my life? And I was just like, I might at least go try it out and see what it's all about. And I'm definitely glad I went and took that chance.
Absolutely. It definitely seemed to work out for you. You tore it up in the CFL. I mean, you led the CFL in receiving your second year, right? So, I mean, you tore it up, dude. So you did a great job. You bet on yourself, bro. That's like inspirational to a lot of people in their own right. So that's awesome that you went and did that, man. Really, really good job.
Well, I mean, they definitely lit that fire underneath me. Because I was sitting there, I was just like, man, like, I'm going to enjoy it, but like, I'm going to prove I don't belong in this league. And so, like, I had this fire built underneath me, and I'm just like, nobody's going to me. No, but I won't let anybody stop me. And that's just the
Crazy.
mindset I kind of went with that entire year. I said, I'm going to take this league down. And I mean,
Yeah,
shit, it worked out.
he did it. He did it.
He
Now
absolutely did it.
let's rewind a bit because interesting thing. You said you went to Arizona, and I read somewhere or listened somewhere that you did babysitting work. To just because you went out there with no money. Couple questions: how much did you charge per hour for your babysitting work?
So how that job came around is so we're training most of the day, but I'm just like, bro, like I looked at my friend, I was like, I'm out of money, like I can't, and we're a month in, and I was just like, I don't have any more money, I can't pay for this, and and so we were kind of talking, it's like we should just get some kind of easy job, something whatever, and then so we like found like this one care website or babysitting website, nanny website or something like that, and I was like, bro, this is something we can do super easy, just playing with kids, like cool, let's do that. And so um, we both interviewed. We both sent like a message to her name was Masha. We both sent a email to Masha, and then she found out that we were like with each other, and she's like, "Why don't you guys just come? I'll interview you guys both together." So we just met up at a coffee shop and talked about it. We kind of told her our story, what we're doing. That we have goals for the NFL and stuff, and she just thought it was the coolest thing, and just kind of loved our energy and whatnot. So she's just like, well, I have 3 kids. Like, you guys can watch them together. And so we're just like, all right, cool. And we honestly just kind of, I think she set the pay maybe. She told us how much she was going to pay us. And we're just like, cool. I mean, I don't care. And so it was a super chill job. We'd go pick them up from school, go back to their house, play soccer, swim in the pool, make them dinner, play with toys. Like it was a super, super chill job. Something we definitely enjoyed. And still keep up with that family to this day. Mom reaches out to me every once in a while. It was two sons and a daughter, the 2 twin boys and a daughter, and the 2 twin boys have become big fans of me. So for Christmas this year, they got my jersey, and so Mom
Nice.
wanted to surprise it, and she sent it to me, and she said, "Could you sign them and then send them back?" And so they got a signed jersey for Christmas this year, and so that was pretty cool too, to make that kind of go full circle.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. And if you ever want, it's interesting. If you ever want to go back to that profession, my wife and I own a daycare
Yeah,
about
I was
3
gonna.
miles from the stadium. So if you ever, if this NFL thing doesn't work out for you, I got your back, bro.
Well, let me tell you what, with my mom growing up did daycare for 12 years. So I know all about the game. I know all about the game.
So
Nice.
that sounds like you got competition, Rashad. That's what it
Yeah,
sounds like to me.
exactly,
Upon his
exactly.
retirement, you're gonna have some competition up in Charlotte, is what I'm hearing.
That's funny. All right, so moving on, you ended up playing in CFL. You finally got your opportunity in 2018 with the Vikings. Now, how dope is it? I'm sure you're from Minnesota. You're probably a lifelong Minnesota Vikings fan. How dope is it for you to return and play for a team you were cheering for? That's got to be an awesome experience, bro.
No, it was cool. It was definitely a dream come true, and that's another one of those full circle things. Like I grew up idolizing Randy Moss, Chris Carter. Um, every day when I watched them, or every Sunday when I watched them, as soon as the game was over, I went outside and I was either jumping on the tramp, trying to make crazy catches. I had my brother throwing me balls on the sideline, and I try to toe tap everything or one hand everything. They really inspired me to become a receiver, and then to 20 years later, 15, 20 years later, make it full circle and be playing for that organization, the same organization I grew up watching. It was definitely something super cool. And I think, I'm just so involved in the sport right now that I probably haven't. I mean, believe me, I definitely appreciate everything. But I think once I'm done playing is when I'll really reflect on my journey, my career, and I'm sure it'll hit me a lot different when I'm done. But like right now, I'm in the moment. I'm with the Panthers now. I'm all Panthers. I'm just all business. But I am looking forward to later in the future to really reflect back on my story and all the things I had to accomplish, all the sacrifices I made, the relationships I made, all that kind of stuff, because it's been one of the coolest journeys ever so far.
100%, 100%. So I have to ask, you have your Vikings grow up a Vikings fan. How is it like? I mean, I couldn't imagine me being a lifelong Vikings fan and then eventually having to play that team or playing for another team. Like from an average person, it doesn't. I can't see how I would do that. Like, how does that operate? I mean, can you just easily flip the switch? I know you said you're business minded, but is it easy to flip that switch?
Yeah, so like when the day that the Vikings cut me, I sat up in Spielman's office and he's just like, we're gonna roll with 4 receivers this year. He's like, we want you on the roster. We're gonna try to make you active week 1 yet, but we're like the way our DB situation's shaking out. We can only do 4 receivers. And I just looked at him and I said, you guys are really rolling with 4 receivers. I was like, that's a bold move, but best of luck. And I was just like, because at that point, I don't know what's going to happen to me. I don't know if I'm going to get claimed off waivers and stuff or whatever happens. And so I was just like, I appreciate the opportunity. I did. Because, I'm the type of person I try to take blame for everything. So I was just like, you guys cut me because I wasn't performing. Like, I completely understand. Like, if I suck, like, I want whatever. And so when they cut me, we didn't hear anything. The waiver wire is 24-hour period. Didn't hear anything for the first 22 and a half hours. And so the Vikings are calling back, and they're just like, yeah, we'll sign this practice roster deal. We'll try to get you active week 1 yet or whatever. I get in my car. I'm actually driving to the Vikings practice facility to go sign my contract, and then I get a call. I get a call from my agent, and he goes, congratulations, you're a Carolina Panther. They signed me with like a half hour left. Signed me from the waiver wire, half hour left. And it was literally like I was just like, oh, really? So I hit the first exit I saw, turned right back around, because then as soon as my agent called, like the Panthers called too. And so the Panthers, they're just like, hey, how soon you can be out here? We have a flight. This is at 12 o'clock. This is at 11:30, 12 o'clock. He's just like, we got a flight at 3, 5, and 7 or something like that. And I was like, is it really that quick? So I went home, packed the bag, and I was on a flight in 2 hours later. And it just got to the point for me, like you talk about flipping that switch, like that's all it was for me. I was just like, well, the Vikings are done. I was like, Panthers is my new team, new opportunity, new story. Let's go add to it. And honestly, didn't really think twice about it. I'm not a huge, because I grew up idolizing the Vikings and stuff, and now I've already done that. I've played for it. I lived out that dream. Now I have a bunch of friends from the Vikings. That's why I follow them. But now, to me, they're just a team. Like right now, I'm all Panthers. That's it's my job. It's my livelihood. Like I'm all 100% Panthers now.
Yeah, we are all Panthers too. And so, does your whole family transition too? Is there Panthers flags out? Do they all have Panthers jerseys? Is that how that rolls?
Is it a half and half type of situation?
Have definitely they've been hooked up with plenty of swag from me for the last 2 years to drown out the 25 years of Vikings clothes they have. They've probably got more Panthers gears than a lot of Panther fans.
Nice.
I make sure to swag them out a little bit. But I think it's funny that you said the flags and stuff too, because they fly flag every Sunday. There's one sticking off our house. So now I think they're still Viking fans at heart, but in the moment right now, they're 100% Panther fans. They definitely support back in small town Minnesota.
Nice. So again, like you said, you were claimed off waivers. Now let's talk about this touchdown that you scored against the Redskins. Now I always wondered this because it's amazing to me. Do you have like a celebration in the tuck that's like a go-to celebration when you score? Like, because when you scored, you were just like business as usual, and I'm like, man, like I would have been like backflipping. Like, do you have one in the tuck, or like, do you get ready for that moment? Do you have something ready for that moment?
Okay, so if you ask a lot of people, I'm sure I would say 90% of the NFL, they have their first touchdown planned out. They know exactly what they're going to do in the end zone and stuff. But when you get there, your mind goes blank. You're just like, I scored. And then you just want to go celebrate with your teammates. But so mine was a little bit different. When I scored, you said you didn't. It was kind of business as usual. I didn't know, because we've had a bunch of roughing the whatever, or just like a bunch of penalties and stuff. Yeah. And so I see the ball squirt out. I go run and recover it. I immediately get up and I'm just looking for the ref. I was just like, did they signal touchdown? They signal touchdown. And some people start running up to me and they're just like this. And I was like, nah, move. Like, I can't see the ref. And then I look, I see that. I take a peek behind me. I don't see any yellow flags. And I was like, okay. And then I think Trey Boston ran out from the sideline and he goes, spike that hole. And I was like, all right, cool. So, I personally didn't have anything planned. That was all for the moment, but it was very, very delayed reaction because I wasn't sure what was going on yet.
Now it's kind of
I got you
wild
now.
that like you got the delayed touchdown. Like folks are like looking for the flag. Like that's unbelievable to me. You think you would just celebrate off gate, and then you'll probably be a
should've.
downer if the, huh? Yeah, it's just, but that tells you how much the refs have a factor in all the plays, right?
Yeah, well, I think probably what was going through my head is I was just like, you don't want to celebrate and look like a doofus out there, like if it wasn't actually a touchdown. And so I'm sure that's probably what like my subconscious was thinking, because otherwise I was just like, bro, did I score? Like I wanted everybody to move out of the way so I could see everything.
Now, I want you to address this as a player because we have a ton of viewers that are quite mad about that game, the fact that we won that game because it affects our draft position. I know as a player you aren't necessarily worried about that, but I want you to, as a player, to address that situation. Do you guys care about that? How is it as a player when people you hear the outside noise about picking top 10, top 5 in the draft? But you guys, go out there and do your thing. Like, how do you guys care about that? I mean, how does that affect you as a player?
We're talking like draft picks and just outside noise in general.
Yeah,
That's what you're saying?
because a lot of people were pissed off about. A lot of fans were mad
Yeah.
about that win because that win essentially dropped the Panthers
Okay.
draft position. Yeah, and so like I'm like, you guys are competitive athletes. You're paid to play the game. There's no way you're going to intentionally throw a game. So I want you to address that as a player. Like, if you had to send a message to Panther Nation about being competitive and how you guys operate in that scenario?
Okay, I think a great way to put this is like the more you lose, the more change there is on the roster, right? So we're all playing to stay on the roster. Like you see teams, Patriots for instance, they had a consistent roster, the same guys back, same guys working next to each other every year because it was working. The pieces fit, everybody meshed well. When you're losing, they think, oh, we can maybe do better here. Let's get rid of him. Let's bring in somebody else. Maybe this guy will have a spark. So like, if we're losing, our jobs are on the line. So we try to win every single game. Like the fact that people even assume or might think that we throw the games, I think that's bizarre because like that's like trying I mean, think about it. We're all working for the next contract. We're all working for a Super Bowl. We're all working for wins. We're all working for each other to help our brothers out. There's just way too much in it to go and purposely throw a game or purposely lose to get one more draft pick better or something like that. Like, you don't know if that draft pick's gonna work out anyway.
1,000. I just wanted
Listen,
to.
man, you are preaching like it's.
Yeah.
Oh,
I just wanted you to relay that message to Panther Nation because people are so stupid sometimes, and it blows my mind that you would. I don't know, but anyway, moving on. So this February, you signed a 1-year contract with the Panthers, and I want you to talk about the relationship between Jamison Moten, this guy that you've grown up with. Talk about your plan from 7th grade all the way up until now, and how that worked out for you.
Yeah, that's honestly like one of the coolest things I think that so far that's probably happened in my career. So Jamie Moten is probably my longest friend. If I can go back and think about like the earliest friend, like he's there. Our relationship started actually in preschool. We'd be at recess together. We draw a line in the dirt on one side, go down the thing a little bit, draw another line, and we just raced back and forth all day, every day. And we got super close all growing up. He was always my best friend. Always did absolutely everything together. But he was like just one of those friends that always pushed me. I always pushed him. He always pushed me. We made promises to each other all the time to continue to push each other, to never settle, never be comfortable. But it was like 7th grade. We just made we made a promise together. It was just one of those things, and we're just like, we need to work together in the future in some facet. And he always talked about, I think it'd be so cool to be like a NBA agent or NFL agent. And I was just like, well, I'm going to play in the NFL. So I was like, you can just be my agent. And he's like, yeah, that'd be cool. And then, he ends up going off to college to go play basketball. He started at a D1, then transferred to a D2, and then ultimately finished at a D3. And I went on to go do my football thing. You know, at the point he kind of wanted to be like a coach, and he wanted to climb the coaching ranks, and he did that. And he is an amazing recruiter. He's just very motivated, very driven individual. Want to succeed. We want to be at the highest level. And so he was doing that for a minute, and then he ended up meeting Mike McCartney, who is actually like Kirk Cousins' agent. He's like one of the bigger names. But Jamie ended up meeting him, and then Mike kind of like, I think, saw his energy, saw his ability to connect with people and whatnot, and just kind of took him under his wing and kind of mentored him. And so Jamie worked to try to get with Priority Sports. That's the agency we're with now. He worked for 2 years to try to get that, getting all the certifications. I think Priority, like the actual agency, the guys above Mike, turned Jamie down like 8 different times. I think it was something crazy like that. But you know, we were still always working together. He finally signs with Priority, so he's technically an NFL agent. He has all of the certifications and stuff. And I told him, I was just like, I'm not signing with you yet. Like, I'm not putting my career in your hands. You still need to prove it to me. I was like, I'm still your boy. We're still brothers, but like, you got to prove to me that that you want this. You got to prove to me that you know what you're doing, that you can make connections and whatnot. And so like that was all the motivation he needed. He wrote that stuff down, basically what I said, and just took it and ran with it. And his first year, he ended up signing 7 players. 2 got drafted, but all 7 made it onto a team. And it was at that point I was just like, because I had a great relationship with my agent at the time too. They have helped me out a ton and stuff, and that was actually a super hard conversation to have with him. But I was just like, yo, my best friend growing up just, became an agent. He's doing a thing. I said I have to go fulfill this childhood dream, and so it definitely wasn't an easy conversation to have with him, but it would. It was easy. It was easy for me, I guess. Like I knew I wanted to do this, and it meant more than, I guess, just signing with somebody. But when I signed with him, we were super pumped, super happy. But it never really hit me up until 2 weeks ago when I went and signed that contract. I walk into the office. I see my contract down there, signed by the GM. And then I see Jamie Moten's name, and then my name right there, and I was like, bro, like 2 kids from a super small town, Minnesota, a town of 1,200, we're in an NFL building signing a contract together. That's when it hit me, and I immediately called him afterward. I was like, bro, we did it. Like that was the coolest moment I think I've had in my football career so far.
Man, you have some of the most amazing full circle stories I've ever heard. Man, it's
and
so
they're
great,
vivid.
bro.
Like I'm like out here and I'm like watching it going while you telling the story, man. This is wild.
Yeah,
I'm like painting the picture.
It's just been super cool. It's been super cool.
Yeah, it's been great, man. Hey, listen, this has been wonderful, bro. And I know you are a busy man, so I appreciate you taking out the time to speak with us. And I really do, because this is great for us. And listen, if you see me, you'll probably see me with a 16 Zylstra jersey at training camp if it opens up. So if you see me in the streets, don't act brand new, okay? That's all I gotta say. Don't act brand new.
You make sure you flag me down. I'd love to meet you guys in person. Definitely flag me down.
Man.
Absolutely, man. Sounds good. Well, again, I appreciate your time. Again, thank you for coming on, man. I really appreciate it. Brandon Zylstra, everybody. Thank you so much.
Have a great season.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.